That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
What's going on, folks? As these other boys
that was like smooth jazz.
stare intently
What's going on,
into
everybody?
each other's eyes. So this week is going to be a little episode of us just randomly talking about stuff because it is kind of a it's kind of slow in the bass fishing world. There's not in between a lot of events. Things pick up again next week or so with different tours, and it's just kind of been that early summer lull.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes we need to do that, right? We get a lot of guests on the show, which hopefully you guys appreciate. But, sometimes we just got to sit around and talk about fishing. That's how this whole thing started, was just us sitting there running our gums about fishing and stuff. So we're going to do that tonight. But before we do that, as Ben started the show off, head on over to his company, which is OneCastFishing.com, and use the code TheOneCast, all one word, at checkout. And I'm going to tell you need to get your hands on the Nighthawks. You need to get your hands on everything, but man, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but we've been bed fishing for almost every single tournament.
The last 32 months we've been bed fishing.
and we have burned through our fair share of green pumpkin, South African special, hematoma, and pearl Nighthawks. But it's not only the Nighthawks that OneCast Fishing has to offer. They got all their line of soft plastics to include their long neck hooks, which you're really going to want those for offshore dragging and speed worms and things like that. All the snagless jigs. So if you want to join the snagless revolution, head on over there and check all those jigs out. And the merch is over there too. So get your hands on that cool merch and stuff, and support OneCast Fishing, as they've been with us since the inception of the OneCast. While you're there online, head on over and get your hands on that UPF gear that we always talk about. Stay protected from those dog days of summer. On the water with Carolina Waters, CarolinaWatersNC.com. Use the code TheOneCast. Get the hats, the buffs, the gloves, the shirts, and all those things that keep you protected. While they're online, where else do they need to go, guys?
Yep, use the link that we put in the description and our link tree on our socials, and head over to Hobie Eyewear. Grab yourself the floating frame. Grab those new Hall floats made of 100% upcycled kayak plastic. They're going to float, so you won't ever lose them again. And, we're a couple weeks out from the lake cleanup part of Jarl Cockumenton. Carl Jock.
You messed up.
Wow, dude. Carl Jockinson.
I need a teleprompter.
Is it 100? Yeah, no, right. 100 lakes in one day cleanup effort, global. So we're doing an event with Hobie Eyewear in Jordan Lake on June 29th. Registration starts at 8:30 a.m. We're going to go 9 to 11. Cleaned up the lake, bunch of prizes. We're going to be hanging out. Lots of awesome sponsors, Goatwood, Elevate, ourselves. Lots of really cool prizes. Check our socials. There's flyers there, link and a QR code to sign up. I think, go there. I don't remember all the details. But that first 100 get a special gift. I don't remember what it is. But
so actually,
you'll get something if you're one of the first 100 people. So go ahead and sign up, and we will see you there.
The first 100 get a Fear My Heart garbage bag. It's lime green. Carl put that out on his socials, and so go over there and give him a follow, and you'll get one of those sweet garbage bags. I know it may not seem like much, but man, like, he's doing a great job at spreading the word and creating a movement to keep our natural resources better than how we found them.
Yep.
So,
and then from there, go to your app store, Deep Dive app, whether you're on Android, Apple, American Express, you can use. No, I'm just kidding. Android or Apple, go to your Play Store, your Apple Store, download the Deep Dive app, check out the free 7-day trial, all the info on your lake. It was definitely important to us a bunch this year. And last but not least, if he has room for you, which I think he will, but Terry has been a busy guy, make sure you hit up our friend Terry Carpenter, licensed NC Realtor here in Central North Carolina. He's going to get you right and help you find your home or property of your dream. He's an angler, bass fisherman, so he knows what we're looking for with garages and whatever else you may need. So make sure you hit up Terry, find that dream home, property, whatever it may be in Central North Carolina. You can hit him up at carpentert@hpw.com, or we've put his phone number out there a bunch. His link tree is in our link tree. It's a linkception. You can go in there, and all of his contact info is in there as well. So, all right, now that that's out of the way, what Carl Jockinson's doing, I didn't want to drag too long on that. I want to give that a little bit of time because it's going to be super cool. Make sure you check out our last episode. Carl came on and joined us along with Dylan from Hobie Eyewear. Ben was not here. He was up with his wife, who's at school away for another month, another couple weeks, really, at this point. So make sure you check that out. He goes into how he came up with the idea, to do this lake cleanup and how it's grown every year. We're doing the one here locally, June 29th on Jordan Lake at a Farrington boat ramp. But he's got global lakes. I think there's a Australia. There's some folks doing one there. There was one in Japan. I can't remember. There were like 3 countries already on board on top of what we have going here. So you don't need to be at one of the physical things. I think Carl's got a thing where if you send pictures and tag all that, you get entered into some giveaways. But just go, if you can, pick up a bag of trash at your local lake, your local pond, your local park. Let's protect the resource that we all love to use so much. So looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, man, tournament season's about done.
Yeah. So, I mean,
for us,
well, why don't one of you, you guys wrapped up your Fishers of Men season this year. Why don't you just quickly, how'd you guys do the last tournament? And then overall, like, how'd the season go? So like a quick little breakdown of, because we've talked about Fishers of Men. We've talked a lot about you going down to the national championship this back in, what was that, April? I think April, early April. So, and then you came back and you finished out your regular season here. So recap it for us.
Yeah.
I know everyone wants to know.
Yeah, so last derb was good. I had to put Trey in my backpack and carry him, but it was all good. No, Trey found all the fish. It just worked out that way again. Seems like that lake has your number on Derby Day.
Oh, yeah.
But we fished Gaston. We ended up, catching a limit, went 11 and some change on what was a pretty tough day for us. The wind was blowing like 397 miles an hour right down the lake the entire day.
Did you guys get rained on at all Saturday?
It rained for like 8 seconds, remember?
Yeah.
You were like, is it raining? I was like, this is
like,
random.
It was like sunny, but there was like this just random rain cloud that decided to like drop on us like maybe an hour before weighing.
Yeah, made no sense. Came from out of nowhere. But yeah, we caught them on the bed May 31st. Caught a fish on the bed. Caught them top water. Caught them in the grass on a chatterbait. We didn't scope any fish, so it was good. It was a good day, man. And finished sixth, so made a little bit of gas money. And we ended up fifth. Yeah, we ended up fifth overall for the year in AOI. Overall, we talked about, I think you asked us last year, Ben, or something we recapped, like, what are you looking forward to next year? And we both sort of said adversity.
Yeah.
And, man,
we
sure got it this year because we had dead fish. We had we lost a lot of fish this year that would have helped. We didn't lose a single fish last year that would have helped. Broke fish off this year. So from that national championship through the regular season, it was just a lot of adversity that we faced. And
plus you only had one boat for most of the season.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. We had, which is different because we were used to kind of flip flopping. So Trey had to shoulder the load and put a lot of hours on his boat. So now he's going to tuck it in for the rest of the summer. And
I'm not
I'll be chauffeuring him around. But that changes things because we were kind of in a rhythm last year fishing certain boats, certain derbies based upon what was going on, just because his boat fishes, I think, better 2 people offshore if you both got to be up front because his deck's just a little bit wider, a little bit easier to both be up there. My boat, I'm a little bit rougher on my equipment, so I don't mind getting it in the dirt. So not the Trey minds, but when you got to get in the dirt.
But it was a dirt year, though.
It was a dirt year.
And that's where the difference was.
It was a dirt year. We spent, I think, 4 of our 5 regular season tournaments we caught.
Yeah, we were talking before, and you all said in 4 of your tournaments you caught bedfish.
Yeah.
4 out of 6. So what
we're including the national championship.
That includes the national. So 4 out of 7. 4 out of 6 because we have 5 regular season and national championship.
Okay, so what was the first one you caught a bedfish on?
The national championship.
So in April.
Yeah.
April.
And then
Lake Murray, South Carolina, that was 100% a bed fishing tournament for us.
And then when was your first tournament for Fishers of Men?
The week after we got back, second week of April.
You didn't have one before?
No, we did.
We did. That was Carr Lake. We had
Carr. We had a 26th place finish.
And no bedfish.
At Carr.
That was in March?
Spawn. Correct, yeah.
And then you had national championship, bedfish, and then your next 3 tournaments.
And the next tournament after that was Jordan Lake.
Bedfish.
So that was a bed fishing tournament.
April, right?
Yep. And that one specifically, well, we can go through them after that. But yeah, Jordan was then.
Okay, what was the next one?
Mayo,
which we caught.
Bedfish?
We caught some bedfish at Mayo, but they didn't really play. It was mostly that one. We did catch them offshore. We still bed fished, and then we went to Falls, which we did not bed fish.
Right.
And then
Gaston,
wrapped up at Gaston,
which we did bed fish.
So
Which you did bed fish.
Kerr and Falls were the only two we didn't.
And Falls were guys catching them off back still. So this is, we were talking about just talking fishing, and we always make that joke from what DC said several years ago.
They ain't moving up.
That water hit 60. It's February. The fish are moving up.
They wasn't moving out.
They were. That's not always the case because you all didn't catch a bedfish in your March tournaments, which sometimes you can here in the country, and still catching them almost the day before June. And a lake that's in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I know it's on the border in Virginia and Gaston. So, the spawn is always typically here. Like the height is April is like, if you're 6 months out and you're going to, you look at the calendar, April, but,
May.
Everything is different each year. And then everybody water's different.
Yeah.
Yep. I find like if you plan for third week of April through the first or second week of May, you're probably going to find some bed fish every year, right? You may catch the big wave, you might not, you might be towards the tail end. But I mean, we've had years where we've caught them off the bed till like second and third week of June just because of water levels and weather. I mean, that one few years ago on Harris, they kept the water high and then fish bed. I mean, we were catching I went and looked the other day, like June 15th, I was catching fish off the bed, but they had kept it up. It was a cooler, it didn't ramp up, it didn't get hot super fast, so the water level stayed down, so they spawned a little longer. But yeah, I mean, we've had some super fun post spawn days too. I went to Mayo with my buddy Mike Manova. Shout out, Mike. Hope you're doing well. Check out Westbrook Supply if you're a kayak angler and looking for some stuff. But he came down to help Chelsea put a motor on her kayak, and I took him to Mayo because Trey was like, man, I whacked him. And he caught him mostly offshore when he was there, and I was like, I'm going to go do what I do. And I went shallow, and we smashed them on a pop bar all morning. Good ones, too. 16 some pounds on a pot bar. Caught two. He caught a 5 something. I caught a 4.5. Just a great day. All post spawn fish though. And then we went with Trey and we whacked a bunch of small fish top water. And then we went offshore and whacked them. I caught more jig head minnow fish that day than I've caught in my entire life combined, which was cool. Yeah. I caught 4 jig head minnow fish.
And he made the statement though.
I did. It's on video. I'll eventually release that. I did it was super fun. I'm not gonna lie. I never did it a lot. That day I did, and it was super fun watching them come up and eat it. I kind of got hooked because I had a 2.5 or 3 pounder that I did. It was on the bottom, and I was working it on some other fish, and this thing was and I was like, "There's one." And I was like, all right, this is cool. Seeing that
it's
thing
cool when it works out.
Launch up off the bottom.
It sucks when it don't.
And there's a lot of times it didn't, when they swim up to it to not eat it. But we've had some super fun post spawn days. Even Jordan, we caught some post spawn fish before we went bed fishing.
Yep. Oh yeah. I mean,
it's been a cool year.
Honestly, man. Looking back at the 2024 season, obviously we won the points championship. First year fishing that division, and it I'm not going to say everything was different than last year, this year, because there was a lot of things that were the same. One being the lakes. We fished the same lakes outside of the national championship, but the timing, but the weather was vastly different this year. So we knew adversity was going to be the name of the game. The one thing that didn't play really a role in 2024 or 2025 was forward-facing sonar. We did not use it, right? We did not use it to really tournament fish. Mayo was the only lake that forward-facing sonar really was turned on, and it was turned on for me last year when Pete was down at the Bassmaster Elite Series event on Lake Murray getting thrown out of someone's boat. And then I turned it on this year on the boat to locate the fish, but not ping individual fish, right?
We're catching them on drop shot.
We literally, and so although we had a serious amount of adversity this year with lost fish, broke off, things like that.
We did catch one key big fish in a tournament with forward-facing sonar.
We did do that, and we'll get to that. But we did have 3 of our tournaments where we had a limit within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Very quickly, right? So that was different than it was last year.
Last year we had a lot of long days to
had
get 5.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, last year I think Kerr and Falls, we had a limit pretty quick. But this year we had a limit. We didn't have a limit, and that's another thing on Kerr this year. We didn't have a limit. We only had 4 fish, and that'll kill you on that lake.
We lost twice on
yep,
that day.
We lost them. So, but forward-facing sonar didn't play a role. We still stuck to our game plan. I felt like our decisions were still good all year long. I don't know how much I would change about any of it, but we definitely lost key fish. We lost key fish in the national championship, and we lost key fish in the regular season events. And we didn't have the boat that we usually fish the dirt in, which was Pete's boat, because, you know, he had to get a new hull and stuff like that. So there was a lot of variables this year that we didn't have last year, and that changed it for us. But we still ended up finishing 5th in the points. And, you know, just because you may fish good, it also, the other people fishing against you, man, they had some good years. Or this year was good for them.
Yep, it was.
They had our year from last year this year, you know. So
I mean,
it was good.
I would say we talk about when it's your time, like, you know, last year was your guys' year. This year still good, not quite the same, but we've talked about in the past, like, some years, like when we used to be fishing clubs and all, like you just dominate everyone, and the next year you can't catch a fish.
For sure.
I thought Jordan was our time this year, and then, then our 3 fish died. Well, we had bigger ones on bed, and it was, you know, it wasn't meant to be. But yeah, we had to limit that one in the first 30 minutes. We had to limit it fall.
We can run through real quick if you want to go into each quick tournament real quick, how it shook out.
I don't know if we have to do that, because we've talked about them all, I think, at different ones. I do want to ask, do you think those 3 fish you had dead, if they were alive and you could call them out, and didn't have the penalty, and you would have had that 5th fish?
Yes.
You would have won again?
I think so.
It would have been close.
It would have been really close.
Like,
the guy who
you
won,
guys were making the right decisions around the right fish, competitive. Now,
around the right bed fish.
Right, exactly. It's just, you know, sometimes it's just about fishing clean.
Yep.
And sometimes it's that's in your power, and sometimes it's not. Things just.
I'm 100% sure that if we don't have those 3 fish die at Jordan, we win that tournament. Like, we had the fish.
I'm 99%.
We had the fish to win that tournament, and they were ready to bite. Like, and when it happens, just like, there's no point. What are we gonna do? Call a 5 for a 6? Like,
yeah. So you know, for the audience, what we're talking about here is, you know, Pete and I, that was 100% a bed fishing tournament. Well, no, it wasn't.
No.
We started off in the morning catching them on top water. We recapped that already. Then we went bed fishing all day. Here's something that I think that I could have done differently, which I will forever do at the beginning of the season now, which is descale my live wells, right? So if you're looking to descale your live well, and here's a tip for everybody.
Go to my TikTok.
Go to Pete's TikTok. I don't have TikTok, or you can just listen to it right now. 1 gallon of white vinegar and 2 32-ounce bottles of peroxide. Put it in your live well, fill it up with water, run it on recirculate for 30 minutes, empty it out, and then fill it up with water and run it on recirc for another 30 minutes. So you're looking at an hour total, and just flush that entire system. What you'll notice when that comes out is such nasty. It's so nasty. You don't realize it, right? Because, I mean, unless you got white live wells, mine are gray. His are white. I don't know what color yours are.
Mine are white.
Yours are white. So, like, with the white live wells, you can see it a little bit better. With a gray live well, it's a little bit harder, right? And so after that, we didn't lose a fish all year, right? But we lost 3 fish on that. Now, some of those fish were beat up pretty badly. But I think the live well had something to do with it too. I think it was an enabler to them dying faster. And it happened it was quick, dude. Like, they were in the live where they were swimming around. We were power pulled down fishing for like a 6-7 pounder on bed. Oh, there's 3 dead in the live well. Crap. We got to go.
It was like there's 1 dead.
2 hours.
Now there's 2 dead.
2 hours of fishing.
And I'm like, we can still call the 3rd one.
Yeah, it sounds like they just, because it wasn't recirculating properly, all built up. They weren't getting oxygen. Right.
Yeah. And those pool noodles too. And Bradley Hallman posted a video years ago on his last year in the Elite Series event when he was up north. He had all of his smallmouth die in his live well. I'm here to tell you that's absolutely a true thing, where those pool noodles will flake off, and the residue will get stuck in that filter.
Once they start to peel and stuff, just swap them out.
Just swap them out. Just get new ones, right? So anyway,
and there's other options now. There's some floating mats, which I'm probably going to go to, that are designed for that you won't have that issue. They're just a little bit more expensive. But that was what was nice in that Skeeter when I ran it they have those built in. So they have their own floating mats. So you don't need to worry about. And if you don't know, the pool noodles are just to protect the fish. So you don't beat the crap out of them on the lids when you're running down the lake and all of that. But, yeah, that was, that's huge. I always, usually February when I'm fishing, I'll take the stuff with me and do it while I'm on the water. So my yard doesn't smell like vinegar. And I'll just dump it in there and recirculate while I'm fishing for 30 minutes. And then I'll pump it out and then I'll refill it and I'll recirculate for another 30 minutes. And then you're good to go. But it's get it on as part of your routine maintenance and you won't run into those issues. And if you're fishing a lot of derbies like Mike Nadeau, who fishes a tournament every day, it seems like
he's never descaled his live well.
Descale your live wells twice a year. If you're fishing a bunch where you got a bunch of fish in there, it's just all that grime and poop and regurgitated whatever they've been eating gets built up in there, and nitrogen can build up in the lines.
Right. It's not just that too. Like if you're out in this part of the country,
it gets hot
in the spring, and you got all that pollen in the water.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's another
right.
thing.
That pollen is getting sucked in your live well.
100%.
That's all kind of dissolved in the water there too. So that's.
And then if you're fishing, like if you're a southern guy, right, like, and you got a lot of grass fisheries, like you're getting a lot of stuff stuck in there regardless, right? And so white vinegar and peroxide's not going to get grass and stuff out, but you're definitely gonna hurt your fish. And the other thing I will say too with that tip, and it has nothing to do with bass fishing, is if you have a dirt driveway like me, and you empty it out with vinegar and peroxide with water, you're going to notice earthworms come out of the ground a lot. So there's fishing bait for it.
Yeah.
So hey, that's a way to get yourself some free fishing bait, man, is when you start emptying your live wells out, just go to the back.
I think another thing this year, another key takeaway that saved us in a few tournaments for sure, is being more direct when we have a fish that's like tongue hooked, and really taking time to dump a bunch of G juice on it. And we had several that were bleeding like stuck pigs.
Yes.
G juiced them, put them in the live well, checked them. It clotted. They quit bleeding. Everything was fine. Released those fish perfectly healthy at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't always as intentional about that. It would be kind of like clean it up, put a couple drops on there, put them in there. And the only fish I think we lost last year was a tongue hooked fish.
Yeah, that was on falls.
It was on falls. And this year we were a bit more intentional with those fish that, because the spawn was so dang long this year, we had derbies where they were just eating weird. Even when they got offshore, like they were still eating weird because we were kind of in that post-spawn funk. And so we had some fish that were hooked that way, and doing surgery, getting the hooks out of the gullets if you have one that's hooked deep. Not that we didn't care about fish care, but I think I took a little bit more time while Trey would keep fishing because we were on his boat, so I let him do his thing. Took a little bit more time with those fish, and I think it definitely made a difference because there were fish that I know would have died previously.
Oh, yeah.
That were tongue hooked and just gushing. We had one last week, like that spot somehow ate a chatterbait and got hooked in the tongue, probably because it had a 7-inch bluegill in its mouth at the same time.
Yeah.
And so it was hooked in the tongue, and it was bleeding like a stuck pig. And I washed it off, G-juiced it real good and put it in there, and it was perfectly fine. And
yeah.
You can use Mountain Dew. I know guys carry that, but most people that tournament fish have some G juice, and it worked really well. So just being intentional about that. But yeah, the adversity. I think we had one tournament where it started to spin out a little bit. Trey did. I got him kind of roped back in, and we went and looked and found something, and then it got worse because he broke a fish off that was a giant. And that was the one we got forward facing falls.
Oh yeah.
We were like, we're not going to catch another fish the rest of the day. I'm like, let's go look at some brush piles, bud. 4.5 on a jig head minnow, breaks off a big one. I lose one. So we learned that day, right? We learned an area. We learned that time of year, some things to look for. We also learned that Trey will get spun out. And
it's, forward facing sonar. Yeah. Well, I'm really hard on myself, man. Even when I'm in the boat by myself, like I'm really hard on myself, and I'll be like, how did you not know what you were doing? Like, what are you doing right now? Like, think about the actions that just took place and rewind and figure out what you would have done differently. Right. And I mean, you see guys do it all the time. I don't run a GoPro on my boat a lot, but like when I do, like I talk a lot. Right. And so when I'm in a tournament, man, like I am really, really adamant about making sure that you are just at peak performance, right? And if there's something you can control and you didn't control it, like I really get hard on myself. And so that's when, partner tournaments are awesome, man, because you got that other person like as a sounding board. But Falls was one of those this year. Falls Lake was absolutely one of those. And I'll tell you the other thing too, and a lot of you guys that are listening to this may be able to attest to this. You go out and have a really good practice, and then, you drop 20 pounds and you're like, dude, like, but maybe you're not catching them. You just know like they're there. And then you go out the next day and you catch 14 pounds and you're like, what just happened? Right. And some people are like, dude, be proud of that 14 pounds. And I agree wholeheartedly. But when you know that you broke a fish off that gave you 3 more pounds and you lost another fish that gave you a pound, now you're at 18, 19 pounds and you're like, dude, how does this happen? Here's what I will say. Here's one thing I changed because, Pete's got to work Monday through Friday. I don't. One of the things that I really did change about last year to this year, even though our performance was better last year, I feel like we found the same, if not better fish.
Yeah.
This year was I didn't practice as much. I didn't practice for 2 to 3 days on these lakes. A, it's expensive to do that. And B, I feel like sometimes you give yourself too many options. And so this year I was really adamant about the day before the tournament meeting. So it would have been a Thursday. So Thursday, go out for a full day, not till dark, but a full tournament's day worth of fishing or finding, reconning. And then Friday, maybe go out for a half a day. And sometimes this year, I didn't even go out on Friday. I was like, nope, like whatever I found on Thursday, if it's not there on Saturday, then it's not there, but most likely it will be there based on seasonal patterns and behaviors of fish. So that's something that's definitely different from last year. Because last year we practiced a crap ton, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You don't need to practice that much. Not for a 1 day.
It's a serious amount.
I mean, like some folks get way too into the practice and find your fish and look at weather. And if the weather's stable and it's this time of year, they're probably still going to be there. The only time I would say you're not wise to do that is don't go mark bedfish on Thursday and think they're going to be there Saturday, because they probably aren't. That's the one day you want to go out Friday. And we did that, go out Friday afternoon and mark those fish. Because fish don't stay up very long, especially in this state.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like everything Trey found Thursday, he'd be like, I don't even know if I'm going to go tomorrow. And be like, don't go, dude. They'll either be there or they won't. And if they're not, we'll find them somewhere. And they were there for the most part still where he found them. And
dude, and I will tell you, and I got to plug them, man. Those Hobie Sightmaster Pluses this year were so clutch because we had 4 bed fishing tournaments. Or at least we bed fished in 4 of the tournaments.
Yeah.
Right.
And the weather wasn't always.
And that was, another thing. Like we didn't have bright bluebird skies every single time.
Jordan was the only one
and Jordan was the one.
And it's the worst one to bed fish on.
Yeah. And
visibility wise.
Yeah. 100%. And that was the one we absolutely could have won, but it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to be. Right. So, but all in all, man, a really fantastic year. Our travel partners, Mike and Nick, they had a year of adversity too. We were 1 and 2 last year. I think we were 5 and they were like 7 or 8 this year.
Yep.
Right. Like it was a year for them to, they dealt with the same.
Well, Nick got out there, had one tournament by himself.
Right.
And then
boat issues.
Mikey, boat issues. Mikey had surgery and different things. So but they still performed really well as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's awesome.
They this last tournament, Pete and I came in 6th, and they had a 3rd place, right? So we had a 3rd place at Jordan, we had a 6th place at Mayo, we had a 6th place at Gaston. They had a couple tournaments where they didn't cash a check, but they're strong on Gaston. They do a really good job there, and they're learning more. And Nick is now a boater; he owns a boat, and so he's starting to get into that mentality of like, how do you make decisions and find fish and stuff like that. And actually, we had a really cool experience with him. This was something that Nick talked about during our Lake Gaston practice. We all stayed together up there, and him and his son fished the Falls Lake tournament. Pete and I had found a spot on Falls Lake where we got a limit like really, really quick. And, him and his son came up, and this is kind of going into the etiquette piece of it here, which we've seen a lot of really bad etiquette this year. We've seen rules violations this year. We've reported rules violations this year, right? I specifically have. So if anybody's got anything against me, like go ahead and DM me. But I've reported rules violations.
Yeah, you can DM me.
You can.
I backed him up. So
but Nick and his son came up, and just because we're friends, they didn't assume that, right? They were like, "Hey, do you mind if we fish this stretch in front of you?" Not at all.
We were like, just go X number of feet.
Yep,
that
I was
way.
like, please go.
See that? We were like, see that log? Go to the other side of that log. And he was like, cool.
10-4. Yep. And they went down there, and his son caught a keeper.
We watched his son catch one. Yeah,
right.
So it was cool.
But we also had that year of, I'll bring it up, man. Like, we've had a year of tragedy in the bass fishing world, from accidents at Smith Lake, accidents at Lake Norman. And so even within our Fishers and Men division, we report a safety violation. And, I don't think any of us are above the rules whatsoever. And so that's something that we also dealt with this year that we didn't deal with last year, right? We were new to that division. We didn't want to ruffle feathers, but at the end of the day, the rules are the rules, right? I can't call a dead fish, and you need to wear your life jacket when you're running down the lake or when the boat's in gear. That's just how it is, right?
We would expect somebody to call us on our, if we did it.
100%.
And even if it's you do things unknowingly, it happens. I totally get that.
And look, I've got a bad habit, like fun fishing. I don't always put my life vest back on. I'm trying to get better at it because of all the tragedies that happened.
For sure.
Who did we have on? They were in studio, I thought. They were just going 30 yards or a half mile across the river for their check-in.
Oh, that was Josh Hooks when he got ejected out of a boat.
Yeah, that was, Josh.
Yeah, just like me, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we take it for granted, but at the end of the day, we're only in control of what we're in control of. These lakes are filled with people that don't pay attention.
I've always been really good about putting mine on when I'm running and stuff, but Fishers and Men now, I don't ever not. There were times where I would just tuck it behind me if I was just running around the corner or whatever. Now, it's just ingrained. It's a behavior, right? Behaviors are taught. We're used to the behavior now. So as soon as both of us go to sit down, even when we're fun fishing, we're both and I'm looking over to make sure Trey's is on and I'm putting mine on, and then we go do our thing because it becomes habit, becomes a behavior. And if we didn't do it, I would expect somebody to call us on it. If I ever violated a rule and unknowingly, I would like to say I would never knowingly violate a rule, but I would never knowingly violate.
Well, I mean, sometimes shit just happens.
But with a life vest or something like that, it's easy to just go and be
it's easy to not have your kill switch attached. That is one of the easiest things in the world, is not have your kill switch attached to your life vest. Now, here's something that I don't take my kill switch, it's not attached to my life vest all the time. It's attached to my boat, right? And I tried doing it this year where I would keep it attached to my life vest. I just didn't like that.
Yep. I keep mine always attached.
He keeps his attachment.
Yeah, I teach mine because I just take the life vest off. Of course, my quarter's old now, so it's
all
my cord's
stretched
this long.
It's stretched out. Yeah.
His is stretched out too. But speaking of guys breaking rules and having the morals and ethics to self-report, Seth Ellis did it, right? He broke a rule at Douglas when they were fishing the Tennessee Valley
in practice.
In practice. He was on the phone with me, in fact.
Yeah.
And he started up the big
Trey,
motor.
by the way.
He blamed me. He started up the big motor, put it in gear, and didn't have his life vest clipped. He called the tournament director, self-reported, and put him in the penalty box day one, right? If that's the worst thing that happens to you when you self-report, I'd say you got it pretty good, right? Hey, he had the intestinal fortitude to call the tournament director and say, hey, man, I screwed up, right? And and this is the kind of thing that like we need to like. Bass fishing is not the only fishing out there, but like, man, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people that look at the bass fishing.
Bass fishing's got the most eyes on it.
It's got such a microscope on it, right? And so it doesn't matter if you're fishing a Fisher's Men division or if you're fishing all the way at the Elite Series event. Like, man, like you got a lot of eyes on you, dude.
And it's only going to get worse with the tragedies this year with the the accident in the Toyota Series. It was a Toyota Series.
Yeah.
With 2 fatalities there, and then the accidents on Norman, which luckily nobody was seriously hurt, and the other accidents and incidents. People hear about that, and that's all they think about. We go back to like the weights and fish. The first year of the podcast, we talked.
Oh gosh,
that was all you heard about for a year. Was cheating. How fishing is everybody cheats and blah blah blah. And, so now there's going to be a focus on safety. You're going to see. I truly believe you're going to see blast off times pushed later now because of that, to make sure that everybody can see better. Some people aren't happy about it. I'm fine with it. Like blast off at 9 o'clock as long as I can fish till 5 or 6.
That's right. Give me 8 hours.
Yeah, give me 8 hours. And I understand there's times where that morning bite is important and everything, but it's not more important than somebody's life, your own or somebody else on the water. And too many organizations, and I'm not calling any out, but too many organizations push that. To where they live by that, like 30 minutes before sunrise it's safe light. And Nick, I'm going to call you out because you love that, but it's really not that safe to run 30 minutes before sunrise.
It's not.
It's still pretty dark.
You can barely shoot.
You can't even shoot ducks 30 minutes before sunrise.
Yeah, like you can't barely shoot a deer 30 minutes.
If you can't identify and shoot a duck, you probably shouldn't be running down the lake at 70 miles an hour. So
especially when you're staring at your graph because you're trying to navigate off your
because you can't see.
Like
there's an issue.
And bass boats, most of them don't have radar, so it's not like
exactly.
I know a lot of people have given bass flack because they always blast off at like 7 something, because of that, to make sure that it's safe. Is it detrimental in some tournaments to some anglers' patterns? Probably, but that's not what's most important. What's most important, yeah, that's what I mean, like a herring bite.
Yeah, like a
herring, a shad spawn. That's about it.
But it's still like, as long as they're coming back safe at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, where they're not injuring the public. Because remember, all of this can get taken away. We start killing people because of bass tournaments all the time. States are just going to stop issuing weigh permits, and you're not going to have tournaments anymore.
Yes.
Like, we're still using a public resource, and we have to protect it. So just be smart. That's the biggest thing. We got wake by wake boat at Falls. Probably could have fought that guy. That one was bad. That one was real. Like, he waked us at 7 feet, to the point where the wave literally came over the entire deck and filled the boat with water. He was
like,
that
it
close.
was bad, dude. Like, it was super bad.
So if you're a wake boater that hears this, or a pleasure boater, use some common sense.
So that what Pete is talking about is, we were like, it was the only jig head minnow fish of the 2025 season. The only jig head minnow fish. The only jig head minnow fish for 2025. Pete and I can scope. I definitely can scope, but we can catch them shallow. That's how we did it all year. But I caught one that was 4 pounds. And when that happened, a wake boat came by, and he was within a 1 ounce weight casting distance from me to him.
He was closer to that.
He was definitely closer. You probably hit him
35 yards
with a OneCast Fishing, like 558s or whatever, 530 seconds. Like,
he was close.
Weedless Ned, dude. You could have probably popped him right in his.
It's the worst one I've ever experienced.
And it came over, and mind you, the front of that tracker, I got a 52-inch trolling motor. The front of that tracker sits significantly higher than a glass boat. And that wave smashed over in everything. Shoes were wet. The bilge pumped out for minutes. Like, there was so much water in there. And I was saying things that I cannot say on camera. I will not say on camera.
Yeah.
But I was extremely mad. And then after that, I broke one off. And then Pete lost a good one on a lipless crankbait. So anyways.
Trey brought off like a 12-pounder probably.
Speaking of 12-pounder, there was a 12.6 that was just caught out there. And I'll tell you guys later.
On Falls?
Yeah, on Falls Lake. It wasn't reported. It was a giant fish in the grass on a stick bait. But anyways.
On a Cinco?
on a Cinco, flipping a Cinco. But anyways,
good night,
yeah,
y'all. Have a good night. Thanks.
This year was, it was so cool, man. We had a great year, man. We are so appreciative of OneCast Fishing, of Terry Carpenter, of Hobie, Deep Dive, Carolina Waters, like all the partners, because we literally relied on every single person's product or their service to get us through. Terry came in clutch with the jerseys this year. We had some really cool jerseys made, and we wanted to represent well. And I think we had a good year. I think we had a really good year. I definitely wouldn't change a lot of the things we did. We caught a lot of good fish. We still didn't have a big fish year. I was looking.
Got bigger though.
Did we get a bigger?
We got bigger this year.
Okay, yeah, because like last year we had like a 583 was our biggest fish.
We didn't beat that for big fish, but we had more 4 and 5 pounders.
We had more weight this year.
We had bigger fish overall this year, but not that we didn't catch one of those great big giants. But our big fish for the year did come on a buzzbait. So
that did. It came on a buzzbait. It was good.
It's hard to beat that.
But yeah. So, we got the championship coming up.
Yeah. So are you guys going to do the open, whatever, regional championship?
It's the division.
Well, we're going to fish the division.
Yeah.
We're going to have to talk. I don't know if we're going to fish the regional qualifier.
Where's the division at?
So we don't know.
Oh, that's right.
So the way that our division runs it, which is the North Carolina Central Classic.
2 days before.
The night before. So essentially the way they work.
When is it?
June
28th. The day before the Fear My Heart Hobie cleanup. So June 27th, we will attend the angler meeting.
At the end of the meeting.
So
we will find out till like 7:30 the night before.
We will find out which lake it is.
And it'll either be Falls,
yep,
Jordan, or Sharon Harris. It's one of those three.
Yep. So June, offshore pattern, OneCast Fishing long neck hooks, Carolina rigs,
sea rig and a football
jigs,
and a wobble head.
Deep plugs, wobble heads, flutter spoons potentially, jig head minnows, drop shots,
crankbaits,
frogs in the morning, right?
Inshallah.
All sorts of things will play so here's the problem. It's not a problem. Here's the fact. The facts is at the end of June, those fish are hammered.
Yep.
The offshore fish have been beat to
on
death.
Harris.
Well, yeah.
It's not as bad on some of the other lakes.
Yeah.
And I will say,
on Harris especially.
You guys were talking, and I think we were talking before. Weren't they still catching fish at Shallow or Jordan this last weekend?
Oh, yeah.
That was in the bushes.
The water
the water was high. It was in
yeah.
the bushes. So some of those fish, they may be moving out a little bit later.
True.
Yeah,
so
true.
They may not be hammered.
Same with Falls.
Or it could be like it is a few years ago when we had that high water in May.
Yeah.
And then like the fish just do weird stuff. And like I remember going to the Tuesday night Wildcat one time, and all the guys that we know that are really good in the old, and some of the old guys are like, these fish are doing things we never seen before. Like they're not where they're supposed to be. Like,
Yeah.
So who knows? But hopefully they won't be.
They will be beat on Harris if that's the tournament.
So a lot of guys. Pete, myself, you, Ben, we get a lot of messages. You got, if you're a regular to the show and you live in the Piedmont region, you message us like we're talking about you, and that's fine. Like we get a lot of messages from guys. Hey, what are they doing on Harris? Hey, what colors? Hey, what are they doing on Jordan? What are they doing on Falls and stuff? Not so much Falls for me. I get a little bit of Falls stuff, but anyways, that time of year is vastly different for each of those lakes.
Yep.
Right. Falls does not fish like Harris, does not fish like Jordan in the dog days of summer.
Yeah, the only two that are even sort of close are Falls and Jordan.
Falls and Jordan.
Yeah.
They fish pretty close. They fish fairly similar. The big difference is you can scope a lot better on Falls than you can on Jordan. But
yeah, you can scope on Falls. You can scope on Harris. You can catch better shallow on Jordan and better shallow on Falls.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're three different lakes with three different patterns. And
they all have a different water flow coming into it.
Yeah.
They're not
100%.
So,
different clarities, different. They're just holding.
So everything is going to be different. We don't know, but yeah. So our championship June 28th, and then
where's the regional one at?
It falls in October.
Yeah, Falls.
Okay,
Falls in October. Last year it was on Old Hickory.
Yeah,
And that was after Hurricane Helene, and Mike and Nick fished it.
They
And
should
there's
have
only
canceled
like
that. That's
three
the one.
or four boats that
That's
caught
my one.
fish.
Like my one criticism of the Fisherman is that tournament director should be fired, but he should have canceled. There were full boat docks floating down the dang thing. Like, it was bad. They had to put a speed limit on so people weren't running into debris. Never should have fished that derby. But
the cool thing, the AOI winners, so JT, I don't know the kids' names by name.
JD and
J,
something.
Yeah, those kids, congratulations to those kids. They won it, the points championship for 2025. They automatically qualified for the national championship, which next year is going to be in Toledo Bend.
Toledo Bend, yeah.
So they're going down, same time frame, I want to say, that Pete and I went down to Murray. They're going down in Toledo Bend. Now, those kids, I don't care what anybody says, those kids are good at scoping.
Yes, they are.
They are good at scoping. They scoped an 843 off Jordan this year.
Which is one of the hardest lakes to scope.
One of the hardest lakes ever to scope. That time of year, April, right? Those kids are going to do, I think they're going to do well at Toledo Bend. If they can scope, which they can, and they're in that.
Oh, that's going to be a slug.
That'll be a slug.
March 26th through 28th.
Now they have the potential of not doing anything with scope because they all might be, the big ones might be on the bed.
Yeah, if it's late March,
Yeah.
it's just going to depend on the weather next year.
But those kids, congratulations to those guys, man.
Yeah.
Those kids have grown up with a rod and reel in their hands since they were babies.
They are also the first NC Central AOI winners that came up through the Legacy Series in Fishers of Men, which
That's
the
right.
Legacy Series, if you don't know, is a father-son, grandfather-son, under 16. You fish with your parent. So they came up fishing with their dads through the Legacy and then built a relationship, became fishing partners. They're 17, and hopefully they're going to go to Toledo Bend. But if we decide we may want to go fish that, then we can try to qualify through falls because the top 20% qualify for the national championship. So
It's so special.
or
It is,
if you win the next one.
no,
No,
it doesn't do it.
The division championships don't count.
Oh,
So only the points champion and then the regional tournaments count.
and there's top 20.
The
That's
regional,
how you-
so the
okay,
top
okay.
20% of the regional qualify.
I thought it was AOI. for
Yeah, 'cause
championship
like,
winner. Okay,
AOI, then the top 20%
got it.
of the regional qualifiers.
Yeah, that's right.
The
So-
wild cards, they call them. And then also cool, if you fish with your spouse, the top male-female team from each division qualifies.
Yep.
And the top adult youth. So if you fish with your son in a regular division, then you can qualify that way too. So there's a few cool ways to get down there.
You guys should definitely fish to one in October because it's local.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, if you had to drive,
Falls Lake.
if you had to drive someplace,
I've never fished it in October.
I haven't either. All he needs an A-rig.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe one time I have, but yeah.
That's it. Yeah. From October 1st through January, I need an
No,
A-rig.
yeah.
Just an A-rig. That's all you need. But yeah, so we'll see on that one whether we decide. Toledo Bend's a long way and expensive
That's,
trip,
it's
so
a-
we've got to. That's
Oh.
2 days of driving each way, a week of fishing. Like we'll have to do some discussion.
Yeah.
Might do that. I don't know. That could be a
Yeah.
fun one to go.
I mean, you might as well just.
It is
fish
a
the-
bucket list lake, so if you're going to go there, you might as well have a chance to win some money.
I mean, you might as well just fish the Falls October event, and if you decide not want to go, you don't.
That's
go.
true.
I mean, that's
That's true.
or you don't make it. I mean, you don't.
Yeah.
Falls kicks your butt again. I mean, that
It wouldn't be the
happens
first time Falls has kicked my butt for sure.
too. Ain't that the truth?
I mean, so I guess this has kind of turned into our 2025 Fishers and Men recap, but really, that's pretty much the latest and greatest news, obviously,
So,
here.
as we're kind of wrapping up, then you guys plan to run it back next year?
You know-
We said we weren't going to.
I know. You guys,
But I
you
feel
guys
like
said
we
the-
both had a sudden fire lit underneath of our
Yeah.
Or you
our
guys have
feet.
other things you're thinking about?
There's other things that we're thinking about.
Yeah, we talked about it. I think maybe earlier in the year, but there's a lot of people that they wait until they're in their late 50s, 60s, and 70s to go fish like bucket list lakes, right?
Just do fun fishing.
Kind of hard to go flip a 1 or 2 ounce weight and punch when you're 60, 70 years old. I'm not going to say, guys, you can't do it. But I just part of me for sure
Yep.
wants to just
Me too.
abandon tournament fishing for 2026 and just go fun fish, represent our great partners, take their baits out there, make some content, just travel around, really have no pressure. And then there's a small part of me that knows how close we were from winning the points championship again
and winning a couple of the derbies
and winning a couple of the tournaments because, you know, we're not locals here, but we are getting better on these lakes. Most of it is due to our time on the water, but some of it is due to some of our friends like Seth and Cole and Chad and all of our buddies that, you know, we like to help each other out, not get their spots or anything, but like seasonal patterns are vastly different on all these lakes. And so we're just getting better at these lakes. Right. And maybe that's why practice time is going down. So part of me wants to fish derbies next year. And then, but I think a bigger part of me wants to just take the year off and just represent.
We talked about like a 7-8 day trip to Florida, going up to, you know, Erie or St. Clair for a week.
What are the top three? Maybe this is a good one as we're getting here on time. But top 3 bucket list lakes that you all have left.
Oh man, Guntersville.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Fork.
Yep.
And one of the big lakes in Florida, or a series of them. I've only fished Florida for one day.
It's hard to just pick 3.
Like I can't pick just one Florida lake. I'd like to do like an 8-9 day trip to Florida and hit a few of the lakes, you know, in January, like end of January when it should be really good. But that for me, those are 3. You know, I've fished St. Clair, I've fished the St. Lawrence, I've fished Erie, I've fished some of the Tennessee River Valley lakes outside of Guntersville. Like I fished Cherokee where the NPFL was just at.
As Douglas.
Or same difference. They're like right next to each other. Like so for me, Guntersville, absolutely 100 million percent.
Yep.
Something in Florida, and then probably Fork or Toledo Bend, but I think more Fork. Lake Fork just got them giants.
Yeah.
And it's a cool lake with the timber and.
Yeah, I'm with you there. What about you, Trey?
So I'm not going to pick a Florida fisher. I've fished Florida quite a bit. I wouldn't say quite a bit, but I've fished Florida. But I've never fished in Texas. Lake Fork, hands down, being the southernmost area. Middle of the country, Guntersville. So same as Pete and you, like Guntersville, grass, got big spotted bass in it too, right? So it's got both.
It's got smallmouth too.
It's got big spots in it.
It's got big smallmouth too. Doesn't Guntersville have smallmouth?
I don't know if they got small. Yeah, they got to run up towards the dam.
Go up towards the dam.
So it's got all 3 species in there, and you get the trifecta, but it's got, you know, gray deal grass and stuff like that. Gray hydro. I don't know if it's sky hydro. But anyways, it's fishing really well. So Fork, Guntersville, and Champlain, right? So I want to hit Lake Champlain, and the reason is just this sheer amount of history. Champlain splitting New York and Vermont. You know, can catch really good largemouth there, can catch really good smallmouth there, can run down to Ticonderoga. You can stay up north. It doesn't really matter. But I really want to go chase some brownfish. It's been a very long time for me since I've caught smallmouth in general. It's actually been since I was a kid. I haven't even done it here in North Carolina. I haven't went out west and fished any of that stuff. But so from a national level, those 3 lakes, and then obviously locally, I do want to push west and fish some of our western lakes, right? Like Chattooga and Jocassee and all the other. Or no, Jocassie's not in here.
Before all the spots or before all the smallmouth hybrids are gone.
I don't care as long as they look like one. I'm going to call it.
That's
one.
what I mean. You got to do before they're all completely bred out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I would love to go to the Flint River and fish for shoal bass too, because that's just a species that we don't, you know.
I got us a trip lined up already.
There you go. But and then dude, saltwater, man, like we had a fun time this year. I got to fish for redfish for my very first time, and man, I really want to go back to the salt. Like I really want to go back. And that's a trip where like you and your buddies can just have a damn good time. Not that you can't do it with bass fishing. It's just different.
It's not our main thing, so it's more relaxing.
Yes.
And we got a trip coming.
And I want to. I got to learn how to fly fish, but I want to go catch reds on flies.
Yeah, dude.
I got a guy.
That would be so fun.
Yeah.
I got a guy that does it.
It's just so cool, man. Like fishing is so cool. And, you know, and we're tapping into like such a small percentage of the fishing that takes place in North America. Bass fishing, 3 species, maybe 4 if you consider a shoal bass.
Yeah,
right?
they're a separate species.
But we're not even talking about. We're not talking about any of the trout species. We're not talking about any of the salt species.
We're going to St. Clair next year.
Dude, there's so much. We're not talking about giant, dude, like giant catfish, right? Like we're not talking about that. Sturgeons, right? We're not talking about halibut fishing. We're not talking about any of that stuff, right? So there's just so much fishing I want to do. I want to go out to Utah where Jackie lives and fish in the freshwater streams there. I think that would be cool. So, but anyways,
we can go to Wyoming and do that whenever you want.
Gosh,
hey, there's bass fishing in Utah, Lake Powell, I think.
Lake Powell.
I'll be out there this year at Wyoming.
Yeah, you're going to your brother's place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
we can go anytime we want to go. All we gotta do is go.
No, I can go anytime I want to go. You can't.
Well, you just gotta let me know. I'll take off work for that one. But
Trey and I, let's go.
Yeah, Ben and I.
Yeah, I mean, he'll take you. I'll give you the address.
Yeah,
as long as you like to drink beer and catch fish, you guys will be good.
I don't think we'll have a problem with that.
Can we shoot some elk too?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you draw a tag.
But dude, 2025 has been awesome. It's obviously not over. We're midway. We're definitely looking forward to. We got Independence Day coming up. Obviously, we got some bass fishing tournaments that are hitting the national level. The MPFL is going to be heading to Lake Eufaula, Oklahoma here within the next couple weeks. Bassmaster Elite Series, where are they at?
10 Killer.
They're at Lake 10
Which
Killer.
shout out Christine Fisher.
Bing bong.
The first BASS sanctioned tournament female winner.
Yeah.
Won the kayak series event on 10 Killer. So congrats to her. She's a stick. And y'all better watch out if she figures the boat game out. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, Carl, no information rule, man. You can't call Christine.
Yeah, that's right. You can't call her Hobie teammate up and get any info. So.
We're all part of Hobie here, but congratulations, Christine.
Yeah, awesome.
MLF, anything?
No. They probably got a tournament coming somewhere.
Yeah.
Doing some kind of stuff.
MPFL, 2 weeks. Did you say that already?
Yep, MPFL, Eufaula, Bassmaster Lead Series, 10 Killer. Fishers and Men our district championships coming up here. Congratulations to our buddy Seth, who finished second in the 5 Alive last weekend at Bugs Island.
Well, I guess by the time you guys listen to this, Kentucky Lake.
Oh yeah, they're about to kick off Kentucky Lake.
Will be
who's that? BBT.
BBT.
Oh, that'll be a smallmouth slugfest, dude.
Yeah, it's making a rebound.
So Kentucky is. I think the smallies are better than they used to be.
They're on an upswing right now. So
that used to be a bucket list lake for me.
Yeah,
but it went so downhill over the last decade.
God, I guess I could just go to Kentucky Lake instead of going all the way up north. But
that's not the same.
But I will say there is a difference between southern smallmouth and true
these smallmouth aren't even like smallmouth. I've caught them in North Carolina.
And even Champlain's not part of the Great Lakes, right? But they call it like
it's closer.
Sixth Great Lake.
It's definitely closer.
Yeah.
I would tell you what, I don't care if you catch them at a Gunnersville, any of the TVA river system. You catch them up north. Nothing fights harder than a creek smallmouth.
That's true. That's
just
true.
Little bitty creek smallmouth because with that current, of course, if
their tails are so much wider than like a largemouth or a spot. Yeah, they are just strong fish. So yeah, it's going to be cool, man. Like we're all going to be fun fishing pretty much for the rest of the year. We got a couple derbies. Shout out to Special Operations Bass Anglers. We do it every year, November, the Friday before Veterans Day. If you're going to be in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, or you want to travel, whatever. The annual Mark McCowan Special Operations Bass Anglers Charity Tournament is going to be taking place on Lake Norman. We also have a Take a Warrior fishing event that's going to happen in November sometime on Sharon Harris Lake. That's going to be a multi-species fun tournament. So if you're in the area, you want to take a veteran fishing, please look up Take a Warrior Fishing, warriorfishing.org. And yeah, man. What else? Anything else?
Man, if you guys are done, I got something to close with.
Okay, close
us out.
So
we're not going to go into details. There's more news in the bass fishing world. If you're listening to this, you probably know it's kind of a heavy time. But all I want to say is we talk about it all the time. Like if you're struggling with anything, reach out. We've put our phone numbers out there. Mike Johns is available. He's primarily veteran focused, but if you're not, I promise if you call his number, he's going to talk to you. Whatever it is you're going through, there's people that care about you, and just reach out if you need somebody to talk to or advice or whatever it is. We're big advocates here for mental health, and we've got we got to destroy the stigma around it, and we've got to kill egos. People have to be willing to reach out if there's something going on. So we're not going to go into details of what happened. If you're listening, don't reach out because I don't want to talk about it anymore. Nobody does. So we love y'all. Appreciate everybody tuning in again. Looking forward to the next few weeks. We got some pretty awesome episodes lined up with some special guests and things like that. But yeah, that's all I got. So if you guys are done, we will see y'all on Fishing Friday Live. That is back. Looking forward to that, and help us continue to grow this culture of anglers, helping anglers one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.